A is for Anastasia. Stop mouthing what I'm supposed to say! A is for Anastasia, B is for Big River, and C is for Chorus Line, Camelot, Catch Me If You Can, Cabaret, Chicago. Oh, okay, overachiever.
Welcome to the ABC podcast, where a few good friends, or family, get together and try to assemble an alphabet from a pointless topic. I'm your host, Anderson Carman.
I'm your second option, Laura Carman.
And I am your third wheel, Sally Henry.
Oh, my sister! My best friend of the whole
I wouldn't
world!
call Broadway pointless.
That's what I was going to say. I'm already offended.
I haven't announced the topic yet.
Oh, just kidding.
Spoiler alert.
Today's alphabet is Broadway.
Surprise! So sorry. I already ruined it.
Theme song.
Shall I start?
Well, do you have the first letter?
I do, but the only
first
question
letter
is
is A.
which one we... The first letter is A. We gotta figure out which one we really want to start with.
Annie.
Oh, you're right! Oh, I didn't even think of it. Okay, scratch all the research I did on the toilet this morning.
Oh no, I didn't realize how much
Annie,
I'm going to be
for
third
sure.
wheeling this show.
Yes.
But also, I'm going to issue a challenge right now, everybody. Instead of just saying, okay, so we have narrowed it down to show titles. It can be a play or a musical. However, we ain't going to talk about people yet. That has to be its whole own thing. Because let's be honest, the Lloyd Webskis ain't going to fit
Yeah,
here.
I was going to say, A is for Audra McDonald, but not today.
Oh, for real, though. All other days besides today.
What is happening?
So, but instead of just saying the title of the show, you must say a line from it or sing a line from it that you love.
Oh, hurrah.
Oh, okay.
Does that work?
Okay.
Okay. So for my first one.
Okay.
For my first one. Do you know your enemy? Do you know your enemy? You gotta know your enemy. Oh, hey.
Ba, 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 ba. I was literally just listening to that in the car on the way
Girl,
here.
me too. That's what made me think
I'm
of
still
it.
waiting to clue in. Someone with a clue.
All the Green Day fans know is American Idiot.
American Idiot.
Which was on Broadway. It came to Broadway, I really want to say it was 07.
And America is full of idiots.
Or 09.
No, it was 2010.
Was it 2010?
It was the first year we watched the Tonys.
I recall it fondly. Changed our lives a little
Apparently,
bit.
since you remember the date so well.
So American Idiot. I debated starting with this one versus starting with Aida. I like this one better because I like the music better. However, I didn't really want to start out with a jukebox / concept musical.
And yet
Here we are. So, but really we should start out with Annie because let's be honest.
we'd like to thank you, Herbert Hoover will never die.
Best song.
So what's the
ever.
story? What's the story of Annie?
Annie?
For our listeners who aren't familiar.
Story of love and adoption.
Plebes.
It's why being an orphan is the best.
Well, it's the best once you're not an orphan.
Yes.
It's the orphan skit.
Debatably,
Also-
Annie would not have gotten super rich if she hadn't been an orphan to begin
No,
with.
for sure she would not have. But
Oh,
also,
you're right.
famous, awesome people have played Annie. Like the second Annie on Broadway, who was
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Obvi when she was like 14.
Wow.
There's a video of her in the ridiculous Annie wig singing. I think she's singing tomorrow in that video. What's interesting about Annie is that there's not really a version that anybody really loves. So every time you see it, there are bound to be some songs in it that are different and or scenes that are different. Some are better than others. I just don't like New Deal for Christmas. I'm not gonna lie. It's not the best ending for a show. The movie is perfection, but the stage version could use some love.
Have you guys ever read the comic Little Annie,
No, I
Little
never
Orphan Annie?
have.
She's freaky in that because she
her
doesn't have
eyes.
pupils. She's just got
That's
just
wrong.
white circles, and I'm like, ugh. Well, they're not black. Like if they were just black,
Yeah, they're just circles.
like they're
they're
just
just
circles,
circles.
but specifically filled in with white, and it's terrifying.
It's
Like she
Ghost
looks like
Annie.
a ghost.
Oh,
Ugh.
that is scary.
It's
Little orphan ghost Annie. If you're haunted tonight, it's for sure an orphan.
Little
It's
orphan
unnatural.
Annie.
I mean, it's a ginge, and we know those are unnatural people.
Oh yeah, gingers. Who
Ugh.
would? Oh,
Ew.
gross.
Just nah.
By the way, there's two gingers on the show right now.
For those of you playing along at home, we're both gingers.
Oh, and we are twins, but we ain't identical. We're the fake twins. Just so you know.
Okay.
Yesterday I told I told some kids about Siamese twins. Don't ask why. But
Why?
they ended up repeating it back to me as symmetrical twins.
You're like, yes, that's
Good.
exactly right.
Yes, that is what we were saying.
Yeah, I was babysitting them and taking them to karate. When they got to karate, literally one of them just bursts in, like, first person he sees. He's like, there's such a thing as two people who are attached at the hip. They're called symmetrical twins. And I was like, oh my god.
You're like, have fun, kids.
Where'd you get this information? I don't know them. I don't know them.
I don't know them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, B is for Bright Star.
Oh my
God.
god.
Favorite.
I've heard of evil in the world.
That was way better than the original Broadway cast. I'm proud of you.
I know. They should cast me. It's pretty
Steve
impressive.
Martin. That was your
Steve
audition.
Martin.
Steve, you know you want him.
Yes. Thank
Tell
you.
us about Bright Star, Anderson.
So Bright Star. It was actually, so the actual show came out in 2015.
Yes.
We'll get into more about 2015 later.
Oh.
Can we say that's the year when it happened?
But anyways, it's actually based on an album that Steve Martin and Eddie, I forget her last name.
Redmayne.
No, no, it's a girl.
Eddie Redmayne.
True. Eddie something else.
Is that what you were listening to earlier?
Yes, it's a bluegrass album released in 2013 called Love Has Come For You. And there are several songs in it that are...
Sounds so scary.
Come for you.
Lock your doors. Love's here.
It's loud.
There's songs in it, like,
One-
The Sun Is Gonna Shine Again,
Yeah.
that are pretty much just like a few lyrics just changed, and then that song is just put in Bright Star.
So, on a scale of 1 to Greatest Showman, how much do the songs in Bright Star actually match what's happening?
See, here's the thing. Well, here's the thing. I haven't actually seen the show, but it's my favorite.
And we're going to go see it. However, Greatest Showman is kind of the lowest common denominator when
Yeah, I
it
was
comes
gonna
to
say Greatest
storytelling
Showman
with.
needs to be at the one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Greatest Showman is the one, and let's just say Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Is that the 10?
Oh my gosh.
Shout out, Andy.
But yeah, so I just like it. I remember because I asked you, are there any country musicals?
Yeah.
And this was your answer to me, and
Yeah.
I heard it once, and I was like, this is perfect. I love this.
That's a really good recommendation. Good wife moment, Laura.
Yeah, you're welcome. The other one, ironically, also a B, Big River.
Yeah.
That I suggested, but you didn't think it was country enough.
Well, it's a different kind of country.
It's
more
more Broadway.
more musical theater.
It's more musical theater. Hashtag the 80s when we did the 80s version of everything else.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I actually haven't listened to Big River all the way through, so I'm not actually sure
So
what I
good.
think about that. But, yes, Bright Star, it's fun. And it's interesting, too, because I don't actually know what the story is, because I've only ever listened to it.
I do, I've listened
I have,
to
like,
it.
a very vague sense of what the story is from the songs. But look,
The
Sally's making a
fact
very
that you-
judgmental
Well,
face.
I feel like it says a lot about the show that you've listened to the whole thing a lot and still don't know the plot. You
Sounds
know?
like you think that's a bad thing.
I think it's a bad
That
thing.
is most of the ones on this list, though, to be
Okay.
fair.
Now, to be fair, though, also, I may have read the description. No spoilers, but there is, like, traveling in time in it. Not like time travel, but, like, flashbacks and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I get that from the
So-
songs. Yeah.
So if you're listening
Well, the
to
thing
it, you
is-
don't necessarily know who the people are all grown up and stuff
Well,
like
this
that.
comes up
you know?
in another one that I'm going to reference later, but it sometimes is hard to tell how many characters there are because I don't know who's singing.
Oh, that's
'Cause-
so true.
So I don't know if it's the same character singing a song or not. So I don't know, what the story thread is that I'm following. Anyways, that's Bright Star.
What I think it was in the Heights that has the two couples, and it took me forever to realize that there were two different couples in it.
Oh my
I know
God.
that they said their names repeatedly. I know that they had very different, like, styles. They were doing different things. Nina is definitely not Vanessa, but it took me forever to realize that there were actually two full couples.
Well, to
in
me,
that
that's
show.
that's next to normal. The dad and the
Doctor?
doctor,
doctor?
they were exactly the same forever. And then
Oh,
one
yeah,
day I
that's
went,
true.
That's true.
and then, I mean, there's references to it. It's like, you're going to see the doctor. And there's that song where they
My
both sing.
pharmacology.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. But...
You just gave up how
It's a long word, a long title.
Psychopharmacologist
you know,
tonight. Yes.
Yeah.
took forever to
I
realize.
always think there are more people in Next to Normal, because whenever I hear the company numbers, I always think there's like a whole chorus of people, and then I'm like, no, Laura, you've seen the show. There are only 5 people in the show.
Yeah.
Laura, picture it. I just can't do it. My psychopharmacologist and I promise you there are at least 9 people in the show.
The song the song/show that I thought there were more or fewer people. A chorus line. I 100% thought that At the Ballet was a duet for the longest time. I don't know how I thought.
Even though they tell their backstory.
Even though
in
there are
that song.
3 stories, I just thought 2 of them, like one of them had 2 stories.
Me
I did not know
too.
there was a third person.
Me
There's spoiler
too.
alert. There's a third. I didn't know there was a third person until we got the sheet music because we were going to sing it.
Yeah,
And then I was
we
like,
were like in high school at that point.
wait, there's another person in this song.
I didn't know that until just now.
Yeah.
There are 3
Yeah.
people
Oh.
in At the Ballet.
Fun fact.
Oh.
All right.
Speaking of
Which brings us to
C's.
C.
I did not choose a chorus line.
But you got to sing it. Sing it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I forgot to sing.
Oh, y'all are not ready for this. And I'm not sure you're gonna get it. Alright, ready? If Snake had not seduced our lot and primed us for salvation, Jehovah could not pardon all the sins that we call cardinal, involving bed and bottle. Now on to Aristotle.
That is beautiful. It's got to be an older
You-
show. Also,
Take a wild guess
I
of
already
who wrote
cheated.
these lyrics.
yeah, accidentally. I just read. That sounds like Sondheim.
Yes.
So it's got to be Candide.
Yeah, it's Candide.
Your new fave.
Not to be confused with Candy.
With Candide.
What's the story of Candide?
So Candide is based on Voltaire's novella of the same name, which my dad told me he read in college in its original French. So yay, Dad.
Dad read it in French?
Yeah,
Dad
apparently.
talks about knowing French, but all he ever says is "Passez-moi le beurre, s'il vous plaît." So I don't
he
believe
You need to talk to my dad. My dad knows French.
Stop it! They need to talk to me about French.
They're going to be in love.
But my dad's accent is the worst. He'll go, La pu de fait de belle peu. Like it's the most.
Does he ever
I
talk
don't
to
know
Tessa
that
in
you
French?
speak
Or
French.
would that be
No,
too
no, I
embarrassing?
definitely don't. Le fromage de froggy legs. That's my
Oh my
French.
gosh. That was
Well,
racist.
so Candide is based on Voltaire's novella of the same name. It is an operetta by Bernstein. Bernstein is like my
Bernstein.
recent fave, which
the
makes me
best.
sound really, I don't know,
New wave
dumb.
Broadway.
New Broadway. And it's not that I didn't know who Bernstein was all this time. Don't worry, guys. I'm a purist.
Anderson, do you know what we're talking about?
But
Yeah, you're talking about the
Bernstein also-
Bernstein Bears, right?
Yep, Bernstein Bears. That's it. Good old Country Bear Jamboree. Bernstein also wrote West Side Story, which, like, West Side Story has been one of my favorites forever. It didn't occur to me that Bernstein had written anything else. Spoiler alert, he wrote Candide. So what I think is really interesting about this show is that there was the original Broadway version was in 1974 with a book by Hugh Wheeler.
Book meaning
Nope.
script.
Nope, I'm already saying that wrong. The original
Okay.
was 1956, and the script was by Lillian Hellman, who also wrote The Little Foxes.
I don't know what that is.
But, well, you didn't take theater history, so you
Nope,
wouldn't know.
I did not.
I definitely did not.
And she also wrote The Children's Hour, which is a little more famous, but again.
Famous to you.
I
Well,
don't recognize that.
anyway, but the revival that did well was in 1974, and the book was rewritten by Hugh Wheeler to
Oh.
follow the story a little bit better and to make a little bit more sense.
Wait. So so the book was written by this lady.
The book being the script.
The book being the
Okay.
script. So the novella was written by Voltaire. The musical script was written by Lillian Hellman.
Okay.
And then it was rewritten for the revival by Hugh Wheeler, which really isn't done very much. But Hugh Wheeler and Steve Sondheim are like this. He also did...
She's crossing her fingers.
yes. Yes. He also did like a little night music, I believe. I'm
thought
not
I
going to say
recognized that
more. Yeah, because I don't want to mess anything up. But just so you know, it's unusual for a script to be overhauled that much that it's by a new freaking author.
It's okay if you mess things up because everything we say on here is 100% accurate. That's the subtitle.
disclaimer.
Yeah.
But also, doesn't the show not really make that much sense anyway? Isn't it a little bit silly?
So it's very silly, but it oh gosh, I knew all of this research before and I don't remember it. But basically, it just wasn't as accessible the original way that it was written.
Okay.
It had a lot of extra. It was just very long, which was funny because it's long now.
This is a novella
But
too.
so basically, what ended up happening is that now when people do Candide, they kind of have a lot of options of how to do it, which songs to do.
Kind of like with Annie.
Because with like Annie or Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, because there was a 1997 revival revival, where it was kind of like revitalized again. And then there was an in-concert version in a year that I forgot to write down. I think it was 2011. It was done in concert, and that was a new wave of a way to do it too, where they cut out more of the songs and tightened it up a little bit.
Who was in that? Was Kristen
Chenoweth, Patti LuPone.
Patti LuPone,
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
That's who I thought.
Yeah, Patti LuPone played the old lady, and Kristen Chenoweth played Cunegonda.
She did the Glitter Be Gay.
Yes,
I've seen her recording of that.
Yeah, so, anyway, so I saw Candide, at the Alliance Theater in concert, and it was basically based on that version that I was just referring to from 2011, ? And I fell in love with it. I loved it so much.
But it sounds like it was a little bit more than an in-concert.
Yeah, so, I mean, it was in concert on steroids. It was kind of
like the Off-Center Theater in Kansas City?
And an in-concert...
No, I mean, so it was... Well, shoot, I shouldn't call it in-concert. That one really wasn't. It was staged... It was like you had the orchestra on the stage, on the left and the right, and then you had... the actors kind of in between them. They were fully in costume. They didn't have scripts except for the ensemble members who were sitting in seats with notebooks in their hands, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Don't quote me on this.
So it's kind of a hybrid.
Official quote by Sally.
Yeah. It was a hybrid in the sense of like, it's not just, hey, we're the audience and we're going to sit back and watch you perform and not think about the instruments. It was very more involved. I don't know. I'm making it sound more complicated than it was. But anyway, Carousel was done that way too. The one that's on
the Carousel?
PBS. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that we saw.
Yeah, where the orchestra is like part of the set almost.
Yeah.
Like they're inside.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's still staged.
So it's
not
loosely
scripts.
staged, but with no set. That's kind of the main
Okay. Yeah, I did actually really like that Carousel.
Yeah.
Well, and it makes sense for both Carousel and for Candide because the score is so challenging. With a lot of musicals, it's kind of about the acting, or it's about the score, or it's about whatever, and Candide is one of those where you generally get opera singers to do it, right, Sally?
Yeah, for sure. You especially get opera singers to be Cunegonda and Candide, the title character. So basically it's just about his traipse through the world trying to find the meaning of life.
Like Pippin on steroids.
Kind of like Pippin. Yeah, in a way, I guess, because they're both trying to find the meaning of life. And Candide, the funny thing about Candide is that they go over all these, like, impossible circumstances where, like, they literally, like, characters basically get killed and then somehow appear in a later scene. And you're kind of like, wait, you literally had your head chopped off back there. Where were you? And they're like, no, it doesn't matter. We'll talk about it later. And it's very funny. And I think when Hugh Wheeler adapted it, he added all of that humor in there. Yeah.
Okay. So that script sounds clever. Kind of... It sounds like the tone of it is very important, which reminds me of Into the Woods, where the tone of this show is very important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it wouldn't...
Did Hugh Wheeler do Into the Woods? I mean, there's also a
James
Sondheim.
Lapine.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Duh. Come on, Laura, do better.
So yeah, it's Candide. And the song that I quoted earlier was The Best of All Possible Worlds.
Yes, okay.
Those are some sick lyrics.
I know.
Can you read it again?
Yeah. If Snake had not seduced our lot and primed us for salvation, Jehovah could not pardon all the sins that we call cardinal, involving bed and bottle. Now on to Aristotle.
That's awesome.
It's a mouthful.
That's pretty sweet.
Wow.
Okay.
By the way, I'm already super unprepared compared to I'm like, I wrote the names down. So this is gonna be fun. Okay.
Well, we have had a radio show before, so...
I don't want to show off no more.
I do.
No, you don't!
Oh.
The Drowsy Chaperone.
Okay.
Sorry, Sutton, that wasn't as good as you, but, you know, whatever.
D is for the Drowsy Chaperone.
The Drowsy Chaperone. So, fun fact, the Drowsy Chaperone was a joke. It was written for...
Oh, yeah.
Remember, it was written for Robert Martin and Janet... What's her last name?
Vandergraaf?
Yeah, and Janet Vandergraaf's rehearsal dinner. And their friends, like, wrote this little musical and performed it for their rehearsal dinner. And then they were like, hold up, let's put this on Broadway. So Robert Martin was the first to portray the man in the chair, which is kind of the de facto narrator in the show. But the show is about Bob Martin and Janet Van Der Graaf getting married. And it's very cute and so fun. And the way our voice teacher used to describe it, it's like the musical theater for the people who love musical theater, because the guy in the chair is constantly like talking about it because
Wait, hold on. Tell like how that transpires.
so you're in his living room and he talks to the audience and he says, "Hey guys, I'm feeling blue, and when I feel blue I put on my favorite record." And so he puts on a record of the show, and of course the show comes to life in his living room. So sometimes he'll be singing with it, and sometimes he'll be like doing the things like they're doing, and like he'll be in the scenes and stuff like that. And it's so adorable.
Isn't there one point where the record skips?
Yes.
So they're building, and then all the people start doing the same thing again and again, and they start singing the same line over and over again, and he like jumps up from where he's dancing with them and runs over to the record player and slaps the floor, and then everybody like lets out the final note at the same time. Oh,
And,
it's so cute.
One other fun thing about it is that it's very much like listening to a musical with your favorite nerd friends, because he'll pop in and be like, "Oh, and by the way, this actress was blah 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 blah." Like he'll give the backstories to everybody. Robert will, and that's
These,
another
like, fake
funny.
people. And...
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was wondering if he actually, how meta does it get in terms of like, does he actually talk about the people that are in the show?
No, not the real people. No,
Okay.
but this show is supposedly written in the 20s, even though it really came out on Broadway in 2006.
Yeah.
Question mark. But another fun thing about it is that it was the Broadway debut of mine and Sally's first crush. Was it your first crush? The second man in the chair, the one who was on tour.
Gilbert!
Gilbert Blythe, ladies and gentlemen.
What's his name, Laura?
I don't remember, but I love him forever.
Jonathan Crombie, rest his soul.
Jonathan Crombie.
He played Gilbert in the good adaptation of Anne of Green Gables.
And we were in love with him, obviously. But that was his Broadway debut as the man in the chair in the Drowsy Chaperone.
Well,
And that was also his that was his favorite stage role.
Was it?
He was either
It
his
is?
favorite stage role or his favorite role, but I can't imagine he liked anything more than he liked Gilbert. So.
Obviously, because he
But
loves me
actually,
too.
I when I was writing his obituary, I think I remember reading something where he said The Man in the Chair was his favorite acting experience ever.
Which
Wow.
is so magical.
Again,
he
we're
died
so-
at like 48. It was a tragedy.
oh no.
Did you know this, Anderson?
No.
I watched the scene where he finally proposes to Anne, and I just sobbed that day. I mean, I sob anyway. If I want to cry, I just watch Anne of Green Gables. It's the best ever. Oh, I don't even make it back to the house. It's so great. I'm like, gonna cry right now just thinking about it. It's so wonderful.
Aw. Okay, E is for a show that I don't know any songs from. And
Okay.
I'm really hoping that you guys can help me
Oh,
out here.
heavens.
Okay.
So, E is for Elsie, also known as a dangerous maid.
Ooh, I love it.
I don't know anything about this.
So, it's based on a 1918 play called A Dislocated Honeymoon. So this show came out in 1921, and apparently it's about, if I'm remembering it correctly, I should have written this down, but if I'm remembering correctly,
Hashtag 100% true.
yeah, it's about a lady of the night
Oh.
who marries a well-to-do fella, and so his family is trying to break up their marriage.
Now, is
Oh,
she the
classic.
maid? How does the maid come into it?
I don't know,
Cool.
but maybe she's a French maid? Ooh la la? I don't know.
A
But
dislocated honeymoon. So is there like a dislocated shoulder
I'm
incident?
wondering.
I don't know if there's an injury that's involved. I kind
Or
of
is
like.
is that just like a poor translation into English? Is it actually in French or something?
Yes.
I kind of like just leaving it ambiguous like that, and now I'm really curious and want to find out more. But yeah, so that's Elsie, a dangerous maid.
Who's the music by?
Oh, I have no idea. What, you think I prepare for this show that I
told
run?
him, since it was before 1927, it's not what we consider to be a modern
Yeah, I
Broadway
was gonna
musical.
say add it to the list.
When I was on Wikipedia and I was on the official
They don't know
list of all
nothing.
Broadway shows,
Nope, they don't know nothing.
this was listed there.
It's hard. It's.
Don't worry, I edited Wikipedia one time for the Tonys, so sometimes it's right.
By the way,
Sometimes
do you know
it's
who
not.
has won the most Tonys? I did find this trivia, so I wanted
Yes.
to...
Yes.
Oh, Harold Prince?
Yes!
Or Hal.
Hal
as his
is his
friends
friend's
Oh,
call
okay,
him.
okay.
He's a
How
producer
many? How many?
director.
21? Y'all.
Yeah.
That was
Now,
terrifying.
can you list a show that he's done? Because I
A
can.
show? Anderson!
They both just looked at me like I'm mad.
Well, we
Never-
already talked about one of them. He did Candide.
Never work
Oh, I
with
did know that,
twins,
actually.
y'all. Never work with twins.
Don't do it. Which ones do you want to talk about? Do we want to talk about?
Wait,
Are-
hang
are
on.
we in
Hang
the
on. I
golden
want to see if I
age?
can
We're gonna
name
leave
one.
the
What am I
golden
getting?
age.
What was one that I remembered? I don't remember. I was gonna try, but it's none of the letters I have, so that eliminates a third of the alphabet.
Well, he did at least one of the letters I have.
Okay. Anyways.
And what for sure a couple of the letters you have, Sally.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm drawing a blank on it. I wasn't the one who did a research paper on him.
I did do a research paper on him. I realized the night before that it was due.
What'd you get on the
But you
paper?
had already
It was a rough
researched,
draft
right?
that was
Okay.
due. So, and I was currently on a business trip. So I made my boss take me home early from dinner. And I sat on the hotel bed and watched a 2-hour interview with him and wrote the whole paper off of the 2-hour
Oh,
interview.
that's
Oh, my
brilliant.
goodness.
He did
It was
Company,
awesome.
right?
He did Company.
That
He
was his
did
first
Phantom
one.
of the Opera.
That wasn't Karen McIntosh.
Oh.
He directed it.
Oh.
So for some of them he directs, for some of them he produces.
Oh, heavens. Okay.
Yeah, he's gone across a couple different...
The first time he saw a show, I'm drawing a blank on what it was, but it was some show that somebody was in, and he loved it. Hal Prince just fell in love when he was 8 with theater and all this stuff. So when he went to work on Phantom of the Opera, he was like, I want to make people feel the way I felt when I saw that first show. And evidently he
Hey,
succeeded.
he
So
did.
he did that one. He did Sweeney Todd. He did
I did know that was the one I was going to try to remember.
He did Fiddler on the Roof. He did, I
Yeah.
mean, all the
A
greats.
legend. And
All
he's
the
still
greats.
around, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
he did.
He's still kicking.
He did, whatchem, that other one that we love, the Candor and Ebb
Oh, Cabaret.
Cabaret.
The best.
Yeah. I learned all about Cabaret. You guys, so many good C's.
Well, anyways.
Yeah, I know. I had like 5 shows listed under
Dude,
C.
just wait till we get to S. I don't even know how we're
Oh
going to narrow
my
it down.
gosh. So F is for Follies.
Wait, we're not on F yet.
Yeah, we are.
What? Really? Oh, yeah.
Pay
E.
attention.
F comes
Sorry,
after
I
E.
meant to say the quote first. Oops.
What is
Let me
it?
back it up. Good times, bum times. I've seen them all, my dear.
But I'm here.
No,
Oh.
I'm still here.
Follies.
Follies. So
Get it right, Laura.
Sorry
that
about
one
it.
is one of the many minor Sondheim shows.
So great.
Who is this Sondheim?
So Steve Sondheim is
Stevie boy.
a
Stevie
writer-
Wonder.
the original Stevie Wonder. He's a writer who did music and lyrics for a lot of shows. But the first show he did lyrics for, I think, was Gypsy, followed by West Side Story.
That sounds right. Yeah.
I think he kind of had a fast track because he was none other than Oscar Hammerstein's neighbor. So Oscar Hammerstein, one of the greats of Broadway, as in Rodgers and Hammerstein, as in invented musical, the Broadway musical.
When Hammerstein died, they dimmed the lights on Broadway and the West End at the same time. And he's the only one that
Stopped
they've ever
traffic.
done that for. They stopped traffic everywhere. I mean,
It's amazing.
legend doesn't even begin to describe it. Are you getting chills right now?
Yeah.
Anderson? Me too.
The entire country was in a mindless panic over traffic. So many accidents. Whatever.
Totally worth it for the
Totally
art.
worth it, but Oscar Hammerstein. Anyway, but so anyway, Stephen Sondheim had a bit of a fast track because his mentor was one of the best writers of all time. And Hammerstein had already been writing for a while before he and Rodgers were even a thing. Anyway, so Stephen Sondheim wrote quite a few shows. Follies is one of the less popular ones. I would say
Well, it has a lot of competition.
I was gonna say, Pacific Overtures.
Oh, yeah.
Summer in the Park
Merrily
with
We Roll
George,
Along.
Merrily, yeah. But Follies is about, honestly, speaking of shows where I've listened to them and don't entirely know the plot. No, Follies, though, is about, from what I can gather, there's some it's a reunion where all these people from the old, like, 20s, 30s Follies, which were
The Ziegfeld Follies.
Yeah, the vaudeville, lots of sparkles, lots of legs, lots of dancing,
Giant
lots of singing,
headpieces.
just really mindless entertainment, particularly in the 30s, to distract everyone from the fact that there was a depression happening at that moment.
Look at this!
We have no money, but it's fine!
Lights! Pretty things!
Be happy! Exactly. Anyway, so there were showgirls at that time who were very famous in New York City, and so they would do different follies. So they did the Ziegfeld Follies, and in this one they are doing what is his name? It's either, some people pronounce it with a W and some people pronounce it with a V, so that's a thing.
Viborg.
Yep, Viborg. Just kidding. That's completely wrong. Anyway, so they
stick with that?
they are coming back together. The showgirls and the directors and a lot of other people who were involved in these follies are coming back together about 50-ish years later, maybe just 40 years. And they are kind of just commemorating the space because this theater that they used to perform in is going to be turned into a parking lot. And it has since been made into a movie theater. And anyway, so what I really love about this show is that it really shows the, the fleetingness of not even just fame, but pizzazz and what you would think that you want in life. And it just, earthly things just kind of pass away. And it's so cool because you see these ladies who were old ladies at this point, pretty much. They're not old, but they are definitely not young, ladies who are like 20 and really attractive and on stage and all that kind of stuff and super glamorous. And so they come together and they're recalling what they used to do, but they can't quite remember it very well. And they're talking about, oh my goodness, it was so glamorous, it was so this, but then like a lot of the details get mixed up. And the funny thing is, to me, that a lot of the details seem like really big ones. Like, one of my favorites is this one old lady's talking about a song, like they're hanging out and someone's playing a piano, and so there's this song that's playing. She's like, oh my goodness, so and so wrote this song for me one time when I was in my dressing room. She tells this story, and then she's like, well, maybe it wasn't him, maybe it was this guy. I don't know, details bore me. And you're just kind of like, this major composer wrote a freaking famous song for you and you don't remember who it was? Oh. And so, they're talking about, I was going to be a showgirl and thought that was going to be my career, and then the Follies closed. And, they talk about very average things like having children and their husbands going to war and living in lots of different places. And, I really, really love all the themes in it for that reason. But the cool thing about the album, at least the 2011 revival that I've been listening to with Bernadette Peters. Bernadette! And Jan Maxwell and Elaine Page.
That's what I was about to say.
Not to be confused with Ellen Page?
Or Elaine Stritch.
Or Elaine Stritch. Is that it has this album, and maybe the original, probably the original too, it has a lot of their dialogue in it too. Yeah. And so you get to hear this just really, really strong, great scripting, great writing, just about, and that's what I love about Sondheim work, that he writes really well about just like people and kind of just experiencing being a person and kind of being in between this, like, what you want and what you get and what happens because of that and how you feel about it.
It's like coming of age for adults. I love it so much.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then of course you find out that there was more drama, among some of the showgirls and, people dating the same guy, and then he proposes to one of them and then they're not cool about it. But, anyway, so it's a fun show. But it's one of those that you really, I can't just like listen to it in the background. I'll listen to it when I can sit and think about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a really fun go-to.
That's awesome. Today I was talking to my coworkers about, recording this podcast and all that stuff, and they were of course, making fun of me, and they were like, man, next time we have a New York client, next time we're up there, we need to go to a show. And I was like, guys, seriously, like, if you want to go to a show, just ask me and I can help you out. And I listed various criteria. I was like, based on, like, how expensive you want it to be, or what type of show you want it to be, or how you want to feel afterwards. And everybody, like, laughed at me for the how you want to feel afterwards comment. But, like, Follies, like, it sounds very, like, wistful and kind of melancholic, but in kind of a nice way.
Yeah.
Which is a very, very different feeling than the feeling you get after, say, Spamalot.
Yeah.
You know? I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's cool because it also gives flashbacks, so you get to see the showgirls when they were young and the guys that they were dating and all that kind of stuff. And so, like, you see the hope in their eyes, and you see how much pressure they put on their life at that time, and then you get to see them old and see how much none of that pressure mattered.
That's so cool. That's really interesting.
So it kind of sounds, I mean, in some ways a little like a chorus line, just in terms of it's like telling the story of entertainers.
I mean, it takes place around an event. So it takes place around the reunion event.
It sounds a lot like Company.
Yeah, it is, but it has more of a plot.
The Company is also a point in time, like chorus line. This sounds like it spans a lot more time. I mean, it's around an event, but like their memories and stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot more. It has a pretty full plot for a Sondheim show, or for a Sondheim show pre-80s, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
When you see a guy reach for stars in the sky, you can bet that he's doing it for some doll. Love, what show is that?
Guys and Dolls.
Well done, I'm proud of you.
hurrah.
I mean, it has both of the title words and the lines.
I know.
Well-
Slow pitch.
Kind of a slow pitch, but also I'm so proud of you. Guys and Dolls is just one of the best shows ever. It's one of the few shows that I will see anytime, any place, done by anyone. So I will absolutely love a high school production of it,
Bless.
as well as a
Yes! What I love about a high school production of Guys and Dolls is that you know that those kids are going to talk about that production for the rest of their lives, and if they become theater people, they will be standing around, if they become professional actors, they will be standing around with their friends who are all professional actors and also were in Guys and Dolls at one point.
That's so true. That is so true. But it's so fun. Like, the script is so well written. It doesn't feel lazy. I haven't seen the movie. I hear the movie's kind of slow, which doesn't surprise me for that time period of movies. A lot of the movies that were based on musicals back in the day really were, like, loosely based on musicals, So I can't vouch for the movie. But the show, it's just so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
When Sarah gets drunk and, like... there is one of those shows, there's one way to do it, and I would defy someone to do it another way because they tried it. The first revival of it on Broadway. They tried to pare it down.
Oh.
No, it was set in the same time, but they tried to, like, pare it down and it just didn't work. So then they had to revive it again with Nathan Lane and Peter Gallagher. And they did it just like the original, with all the bright suits and all the glitz and all the glamour and all the people on stage and sit down and you're rocking the boat. Like,
And they added a rap line and sit on your rock in the boat.
Classic.
So-
Love it so much.
So when I saw the show that your kids put on, Sally, was that because it was Guys and Dolls Junior?
It was the full version.
Okay, was the Annie that I saw Junior?
Yes.
Okay. Anyways, but the Guys and Dolls, so that was full.
Did you
full
cut
on?
out scenes and stuff?
Yeah, we cut out some stuff.
Okay. Was it scandalous?
What do you mean?
Oh, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, the kids weren't allowed to kiss, so that's what you're asking.
There were not any... There was nothing we cut out because of content being inappropriate. We cut out stuff because we didn't want to...
You didn't want to make people watch a 3-hour high school show?
Yeah, I was going to say, no one wants to see high schoolers do anything for 3 hours.
That's fair. High schoolers, we love you, but...
I was about to say,
no, it
even a
is.
football game's only an hour and a half.
Dude,
Exactly.
I can't handle a professional football game. That's way too long.
For Annie, it was a little bit longer than the junior version because we expanded it. But yeah, no, the Guys and Dolls that we did was the full version. We cut out most of Big Julie's scene in the crap
the one where he
shooter.
talks about remembering where all the dots was on the dice. That's such a great scene.
It's funny, but it is a
you don't
little
need it.
slow.
Yeah.
It honestly, especially if you have kids doing it, because then you're like, wait, what did they just say?
And when your Big
So-
Julie is not a giant mobster, it's just a little bit
And
different.
you're like, wait,
Yeah.
he literally just played John Darling last year.
yeah, no, but your Harry the Horse was so good.
Oh, yeah.
He was awesome.
What's the other guy that's got a funny name? Tomorrow or something? Like... Oh, no, wait.
Nicely.
Nicely. Yeah. Well, there was something. It was like a Who's on First feel
How you
to
doing?
it.
Nicely.
Yeah.
It's so,
Yeah.
I mean, and that one also holds a special place in my heart. Was that the first musical we ever saw?
Yeah. I think
So our brother was in it when he was in college. LOL brothers being 14 years older than you are. Was the first show I ever saw. And he was Benny South Street. So he got to sing the title song and like...
It was a good role.
It was the coolest thing ever.
Hugh?
Yeah, Hugh.
That
So,
makes
you know,
sense.
of course, as a
Of course.
child, I feel like we saw them rehearse sometimes, too.
Yeah, Mom would... Which,
Why did we do that? Was she just desperate to get out of the house?
Yeah. I mean, desperate isn't a great word, but now that I've been around moms and children a lot more, I'm like, oh, I understand everything now.
Like, to just sit in their rehearsals.
Fun diversion. Yeah, and they would let us. They would let us just, like, chill there. We were super well behaved, but like...
Yeah, so that's really where, like, my love of musical theater started. And that's probably why I'm okay with that production anytime, any place done by anyone. So if you hear about a production of Guys and Dolls, let me know, because it's not my favorite show, but it is so much fun. It's just great.
It's just,
you never come out of there going, man, I'm really bummed I saw Guys and Dolls tonight. You know?
Man, what a downer.
What a downer, Guys and Dolls.
Well, except for that one production... And I won't say where we saw it.
Oh,
because I'm not mean.
The one with evil mobster Sky Masterson. We saw a production.
He was old and creepy, and so
Sarah looked distinctly creeped out by him the whole time.
And then for some
was not
reason,
great.
Nathan Detroit was also old. But
Adelaide was old too.
Oh, that's right. Okay, never mind.
Nathan and Adelaide had okay chemistry.
Sky was the one who was creepy. So during the song "I've Never Been in Love Before," it was just uncomfortable because she was just like, "Oh my gosh, he's touching me," and it was like, "Okay, y'all are supposed to be like falling in love right now."
They were not. They like came on with their arms intertwined for like the final scene, and you could tell she was like low key leaning away. It looked like that picture of our wedding. You know, some of the people at our wedding that were not comfortable standing next to each other.
It was very sweet.
It was very sweet. Making siblings stand next to each other. I love it so much.
H is for...
Sing it.
Let me think.
I hope you're doing the one I think you're doing.
He's a noob. He's got to be doing it.
I am a noob. Noob, for sure. I am not throwing away my shot.
Why are you whispering it?
And like leaning forward creepily as you do it.
I don't need this kind of criticism in my life.
The Raper edition.
They forgot the second P.
Oh heavens!
In rapper.
I was so confused.
I know. I was hoping you were gonna say how to succeed in business. I'm really trying.
Well, yeah, that's a good one too. I actually do like that one. I really like that one. Well, here's what I like. Okay, so Hamilton.
Abby.
What I like about Hamilton, and what I like about Les Mis, and
Thin Ice George.
I would also say next to normal.
I'm intrigued about what these three have in common.
I'd only ever heard any of those, and I've only seen Les Mis. But I know the whole story just off the music.
Quality.
It took a few listens through, because
There's so much
is it called
content.
an operetta?
Yeah, I would say so.
But I did find out recently that there's a huge bit that I miss in Hamilton.
What?
The one scene.
Oh my
where
gosh.
what's-his-face dies.
Please don't say it, because most people
There
listening
is
probably haven't seen the
there's
show.
legitimately like one spoken line in Hamilton, and it's like
The
saddest thing.
Apparently it rips your heart out.
Oh, it totally
It rips
does.
everything out.
Dude, I watched the bootleg with a friend in college, and we had to pause it right there and just cry.
Oh my god.
And then later we were like, okay, now we're ready to start again. And we started back with nonstop.
Yeah. So, Hamilton came out the same year as My Beloved Bright Star. So, of course, it took...
Rip everything, 2015.
But
honestly.
Hamilton still doesn't have the most Tony Awards of all time.
It has the most noms.
It wasn't possible
It does have the
for
most
them to
noms.
win all of them.
No, it wasn't possible, but it was possible for them to win 16. Which would have
Beaten.
10.
Sorry, it just came out.
Grammar not me over here.
I love you so much. Which would have beaten... What's the show with the most Tonys?
Adolf Elizabeth Hitler.
AKA the producers.
to the producers.
No, I did that.
You totally did that on purpose. Yeah, so they lost 2 that they could have. Okay, no, that sounded stupid, but when you have 3 men nominated in the same category, only one of them can win. So you know that you're going to lose at least 2 of those.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
See what I'm saying?
So, like, what was it? Supporting actor or something?
Supporting actor.
So like, they had...
featured.
Oh, okay.
On Broadway, we call it featured.
There are no small parts on
And
small
obviously,
actors.
we had 2 guys. Did we have 3 guys?
Are there that many small actors, though?
Oh, yeah.
Quick
Because
question.
We had Bay and Jefferson
Who won?
and the white guy.
George?
So, but then, so King George, George Washington, and Hamilton all lost didn't win Tonys.
Oh, that's
Remember.
true.
Wait. Who did
wasn't-
Lynn lose to?
Aaron Burr,
Oh,
which
of course.
is so fitting.
That actually,
So
that's
fitting.
that's
Aaron
fantastic.
Burr killed him again.
Wait. Tell me that was like part of the speech too. Like,
It really wasn't.
Well, it didn't need to be because remember, Lynn's not an actor. Lynn
Well,
is
yeah.
great. He is good, and for a
At what he
writer,
does,
he is incredible. However, if he were at a casting call looking for someone to play Hamilton, you would not cast him as Hamilton. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Of
But
all, like,
hang on, going back to the whole there are those small parts, just small actors. Are there very many small actors?
they're all
small. They're all itty bitty.
No, I mean like dwarves
Oh,
or little people.
dwarfs.
dwarfs. Actually, dwarfs is the plural
Instead
rather
of-
than dwarves.
Depends on if you're talking to Tolkien or not.
Tolkien doesn't know anything.
Tolkien didn't invent that.
Depends on if you're talking to Sondheim. Tolkien's also a
He
Brit.
says like in The Hobbit, like for the purposes of this book, I will be using the plural with a V.
What a
I
rebel.
love it so much.
I know.
I don't know of any. That's yeah.
Besides
what's
what's
on
his
Broadway.
name? On Broadway? Yeah, no.
I mean,
don't know.
Dinklage is the only like
Dinklage.
actor. Well, no, there's Warwick. Is it Warwick Davis?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't know if there was ever like a show that I would like. I mean, it's really cool when that you just kind of put someone in a role and that's not important to the
Yeah.
role.
Yeah,
Yes.
Dinklage has done a couple roles
Just
like that where it's not
happens to be who they
important
are.
for them. But I didn't know if they were ever in.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I don't know.
No,
I guess for kids, there's
I
some
guess
kids in shows.
we're probably heading there.
Yeah.
Because right now the big thing on Broadway is to, like, well, in theater and in movies and all that is to, like, cast the actual people who are whatever it says they
Yes,
are.
because heaven forbid we act.
Well, I mean, it makes sense to cast someone who looks Middle Eastern in a
That's
Middle
fair.
Eastern role.
That's definitely fair.
Which seems obvious, right? But, like, they really don't do it. Like, blonde-haired, blue-eyed people really do get cast more. And stuff like that.
Yeah,
like, for no reason, right? But there is a point at which, like, let's act here, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is the big thing right now. But Hamilton is amazing.
It really is. It's a cool show.
I mean,
it's a fun
worth
show.
it. We saw it, but
Yeah.
so good. It is so much, though.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean,
Well, what's interesting now, I wonder if anybody's seen it now. Like, anybody who goes to the show and has never actually heard it.
Oh, yeah, they do. People do.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
well, because there are a lot of people who are like, well, I'm not going to listen to it until I've seen it.
It can be a conscious choice because it's not like it's on the radio. You
That's
would have
true.
to seek it out.
That is true. But, like, I mean, I guess at this point, the only reason you know that you're going to like it is because everybody likes it.
Or you're
like,
just interested, yeah. When
you know,
we saw it, I
like-
was surprised by how many older people, older meaning my mother's age or older, you know, were
Yeah,
evidently familiar with the music. And
Yeah.
evidently knew every word. Because people that age don't, typically you don't think of them as listening to rap.
You know what, though? Like, the lyrics are so... Or they're... Rap is can be so hard to listen to because it is so fast-paced. I almost feel like it's better served having heard it before because then you're just taking in the choreography. You're able to enjoy the visuals more because you're not having to be like, what did he say?
I mean,
I think it was
so.
clever, but I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think you miss a lot if you haven't heard it before.
I mean, we still
just
missed
like with
a
any
lot.
musical.
We still missed a ton when we saw it. Remember you and I, like, when
Yeah,
Sally and I came back, like...
Visually we did. But I'm talking about, like, you wouldn't necessarily, I mean...
You
have
miss
a
a
hard
lot
time
of the
getting
lyrics,
the
that's true.
story.
That's true, you
Just
would.
like with any, if you saw Les Mis for the first time, because it's sung the entire way through. Anything that's sung the entire way through is hard to
It just takes a lot of
understand.
attention. Like, that's one thing about theater. Whenever I, like, meet someone who's never seen something live on stage, I always advise them not to think of it like a movie. Because it takes more out of you than a movie does. A movie is very, very passive entertainment. You sit there and you're like, okay, they're going to do whatever it is they're going to do. But when you're watching live theater, they really do feed off of you. The actor and you really are communicating. And you have to pay attention. It takes a much higher level of attention. Which, so when you're seeing Shakespeare, you have to, really gear up for that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, Bill.
Billy boy.
Okay.
So, I is for... I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say the quote first.
Okay. Proud of you.
And Dina Menzel. Wait, sorry.
No, it's not people.
We're not doing people, Anderson.
Hashtag next time. Okay. You may know what you need, but to get what you want, better see that you keep what you have.
Classic. Into the Woods.
And that's how it's done. Yes,
that
that's
was
Into
my
the
line.
Woods.
That's a fantastic movie. I
Which
love it.
is...
No.
I just knew I'd get a response.
No, we don't always hate the movie every time.
But in this case?
That movie was okay.
So what was rough about the movie is that they just cut out so much of the script, which means they cut out most of the comic relief. So then it was just dramatic, but it's not really dramatic enough to be
dramatic.
It was dark, but not enough. But it wasn't
sure
funny
what its tone
either.
was.
Okay,
It was kind of like Hunchback of Notre Dame, the movie. In that
so
way.
what if they filmed the movie, but in a piano?
What if they realized they were in the piano? Oh my goodness. Yeah. So this is another Sondheim. And
Are we just gonna hit up Sondheim on all of your letters? Because that's what we've done so far.
I really didn't mean to, and I'm not trying to say that I love. That's right. Sondheim has been in all of mine so far.
You're the self-proclaimed Sondheim hater.
And yet I can't deny his genius.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Wrong show. Anyway, but it's one of these where it's a conglomeration of lots of different fairy tales. All the characters intertwine. They go into the woods. They have fun. They have a happily ever after. They come back. Then intermission. And then Act 2, giants are stepping on things. Giants are killing people. By the end, even the narrator dies.
Oh, good.
Which is one of my favorite.
It's one of the best
when
things
you're
ever.
Oh, this is not a kid show, is it?
Well, and then there's cheating on people's husbands.
And then,
so,
cheating.
That.
I don't remember which
So
comes
what's
first.
the mood that you leave this with?
Oh my goodness. It's honestly,
The
it's
ending is very
much
uplifting.
the same.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Children
What?
will listen. All the characters come back. So,
Yeah, I
should
don't
we
remember
talk
that.
about how it ends?
I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but we can just say how we feel about it.
So okay, I'm going to talk about it. So it ends with the baker holding his new baby, being intimidated about being a parent.
Wait. Was he the narrator, though?
No, he was not the narrator.
See, that's the thing that they did in the movie that I was like,
Yeah,
what?
no, there was...
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
in the movie, one of the bummers about the movie was they didn't kill the narrator.
So once they kill the narrator on stage, you go, oh, anything's possible.
Yeah,
I have no idea what's going to happen here. But it ends with the baker holding his new baby, being intimidated about how to raise it. He's going, I don't know how to be a father. Because his father left when he was very young and he doesn't remember his father. And all the characters that have died come on stage. And they just say, just tell him the story of how it happened. And it's all about how we use stories to talk about our lives and how fairy tales have a moral or have a point to them. Or, it's about how we teach children about the world. And it is, I'm getting chills right now. It's such, oh man, it's one of the best shows ever written.
That's so
for
good.
sure. It's very long. And the first act is an entire plot all by itself. So when intermission comes, don't think it's over, because it's really not. But it's...
How hard is the suspension of disbelief on a giant?
Oh, I mean, they don't
fine.
really try to have the entire giant on stage. They really... They kind of make it almost cartoony, where literally you just see her arm come down from the top of the
From
theater. Come down from up. It just kind of comes out of the wing. This giant arm is pointing at them. But mostly the characters just talk to her, and you don't really need to see her.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. The giants are her.
Although there is an entire... What is it on the interwebs? The thing that's entirely devoted to bad Milky
White.
So you have to have a cow on stage.
Oh, yes,
Because you've got Jack and the Beanstalk, and Jack's supposed to sell his cow, right? So you must have the cow. And the cow must be on stage because the cow runs away at one point. The cow has to eat some things at one point. All this stuff happens with the cow. So there is an entire, what is it? Like blog.
It's a Tumblr
Dedicated it's a Tumblr dedicated to bad Milky Whites and high school productions. And it is the funniest thing. I mean, from people dressed as cows
I was about to say, I was like, do they do puppetry for it? Or
It
is there
depends.
a cow?
It's all however you want to do it.
Has there ever been a cow?
No, they don't.
No,
usually
you
about to say, you
can't
couldn't do that.
No.
Can you imagine this cow gets shipped out every day from the field? There's like 5 of them and they're on
Well,
rotation.
it also has to
Okay.
die on stage, so there's that.
Well, I
it
mean,
has to be raised back
just
to
as long
life
as you
on
make it into
stage.
burgers by the end. It's,
Oh my gosh. So actually, I found out something really interesting today when I was researching Into the Woods. That it's actually based on a book called The Uses of Enchantment, The Meaning and Importance of Fairy Tales. Basically, it was this guy named Bruno Bettelheim who wrote this book about like how children use what they learn in fairy tales to kind of cope with things that they encounter in the world. And it's like really, really big things wrapped up in these really small fairy tales. The crazy thing that I read about
Is it what type of book is it?
so it's like
I mean, it's not a novel.
It's a psychoanalytical
Okay, that's what I thought.
reading
Okay.
of these.
Oh, I've got to read that.
Well, yes, but the thing is that he billed himself as a therapist, as an educator and therapist of severely disturbed children, quote. But after he died, people like investigated
And he wasn't.
he wasn't. He had like taken 3 classes in psychology. And that was it.
Oh, I'm still here
So
for
he's
it.
just writing this book. So
I'm
anyway,
a third of the way to him.
exactly. So, anyway, I thought that was interesting because I've never, it's like Into the Woods is just based on, lots of fairy tales.
Yeah.
But it's also based on this idea of kind of looking at fairy tales a little bit deeper and seeing what they do for children. So,
That is interesting that you mentioned that, and I totally got the point of the show, apparently. Like,
yes.
the point really came through.
Yeah, oh, exactly. The other thing I think is interesting about Into the Woods is that it won the Tony in 1988 for Best Score. Do y'all want to guess who it beat?
Oh,
Yes.
Phantom of the Opera.
Yes.
The Phantom of the
Yeah,
Opera.
Suck it, Andrew.
So it won Best Score and Best Book, which, like, the fact that Phantom was nominated for Best Book is silly.
That's a
So
joke.
obviously,
Ugh.
Into the Woods won Best Book.
It also won Best Actress,
Yeah,
beating out Sarah, what's her name,
Brightman.
probably? Sarah Brightman, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, the 80s were kind of a dark time for Broadway, honestly, but
They were
a
a
couple
weird
good things
time.
came out, and apparently they always came out in the same year.
Go figure.
But yeah, so Into the Woods, a lot of fun. That's actually one that I will see,
I wouldn't see
I
that
will
anytime.
see it anytime, but I do really, really like it. There's a good version of it on, it used to be on Netflix, but it was the original Broadway cast was filmed professionally.
Oh,
doing it.
cool.
So, like, you gotta check that out.
Yeah.
It's so good.
That could be.
Anderson, you would love it.
Okay, well, let's
You
watch it.
probably would.
Let's watch
Yeah,
it.
let's watch it. Didn't you see a high school production of it?
Yeah.
Did they do the full version?
Yeah.
Even Disney wouldn't do
It
the full
was
version.
long.
Yeah, that's high schoolers doing anything for 3 hours.
High school's doing anything for 3 hours. No good.
Okay, you ready for this?
Nope.
Can you? I'm just kidding. That's not
Wait.
it. I know I'm on J.
I was
know
about
I'm
to
on
say,
J.
I was like, you
No,
know,
I was sorry. Sherry baby. I'm sitting down, you guys. I have no vocal support. Sorry about it.
I recognize the song, but
Jersey Boys.
Jersey Boys.
It's a you guys, another concept musical. Sorry
What
about
are you
it.
doing?
No, I mean, sorry, another jukebox musical.
Jukebox
It's
musical.
not a
Sorry,
concept
so jukebox musical.
Dang it, you also have M. Are you going to do Mamma Mia?
No. No, there's so many good M ones.
Okay.
But anyways, so jukebox musical is where you take music that somebody has already written, and you say this would be cool in a show, and you put it into a show. Like Mamma Mia, they were like, oh, ABBA wrote some good music, let's make a show based on that music. Now, Jersey Boys is better because Jersey Boys is actually about the real people who are writing the music and stuff like
Well,
that.
yeah, it's like about musicians, right?
Well, it's about the Jersey Boys.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, I feel like that's easier to make a...
so it's the
show
true
about
story
just
of their
song.
lives.
Yeah.
And they sing the songs at various points.
What do
in
you mean
the
that
show.
doesn't feel like... I mean, I haven't seen the show, but just, like, in the initial pitch, like, that sounds more like a movie that music is in.
Yeah.
I mean, a show. I was thinking
No,
movie.
I get what you're
but,
saying,
like,
but, like,
it sounds like
yeah.
a show that music is in, but it's not like a musical.
Yeah.
You know?
The music is used as an integral part of it as well.
Yeah,
But-
like if like a song has an emotional beat to it and they put it in a storytelling place that has that same emotional beat, then bravo.
That's what they did.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
totally right. Yeah, so it's good. It's kind of a downer, honestly.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's
that's
real
kinda
good.
sad.
Is it still running?
No.
No. When did it close?
I don't remember, but it was one of the top running shows. It was in, I don't remember if it was top 20 or what, but
Probably top 20.
yeah, I don't remember.
I would say, because top 10 is like lit right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's about, you know, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons and all those people who did the Jersey Boys, and it's so good.
Good
Yeah.
job. Let me see.
Oh,
I think
and-
we need to hurry up a little bit.
The nice thing about a jukebox musical is that it
Yeah.
solves the problem of the runaway cart, which is mine and Sally's favorite song in Les Mis. There's this song in Les Mis entitled "The Runaway Cart," and Les Mis is one of those shows where like they wrote some really good songs, and then they wrote other songs that are like, "I was walking down the road and everybody was mean to me," and you're like, just talk, just talk right now. So
Or
the-
just show that.
I mean, yeah, whatever. So the problem with some musicals is that you're not going to enjoy all the songs in the musical because there will be a song or two that is used to advance the plot that is not good in its own right. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you wouldn't listen to that song out of context and go, wow, this is such a great song. You know, but a jukebox musical that takes songs that were already popular has the best score. The best scores are jukebox musicals because you go, man, I love this song. Wow,
Yeah.
I love this
I
song
love this
too.
one too.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, I've heard this song on the radio. You know,
You'll
so
listen
it's
to
just-
it all the time.
It's stacking it. Mhm.
Okay.
It's very smart though.
I don't know any songs from this.
Awesome.
This is for you, love.
Yeah.
K is for Kiss Me Kate.
Yes.
Aw, such a good show.
I've
Do you
told
know
it's really
what
good.
about?
It's about Kate. And wait, no, it's not about Kate. It's about someone else, and he likes Kate. He likes Kate a lot.
I
And
told you what it was
And he's
about.
like, "Hey, Kate, would you kiss me?" Is there a question mark at the end of the title? Kiss me, Kate?
There's actually
No.
an exclamation
Oh,
point.
there's an exclamation.
There's a comma
Kiss me, Kate.
and an exclamation point.
Kiss me, Kate.
Kiss me, Kate. That's what it is, though.
But it's an exclamation point.
So kiss me, Kate.
What's the song that you were
love
singing
me
the other
now.
morning? It was, or that
But I'm always true to you, darling, in my fashion. Singing
Yeah.
that to my husband. My bad.
Oh no,
But I told you what it was about. Do you remember?
no,
So, Kiss Me, Kate is a musical. Oh, sorry. Do you want to talk about
no. I don't have anything.
It's a musical about a troupe of actors putting on a musical version of The Taming of the Shrew.
Right, I remember you saying this.
So it's very tightly written. It's from the 40s by good old Cole Porter, who's debatably the best.
They're not putting on a musical version.
They are, because
They
they're
are?
singing in the show, yeah.
Oh yeah. I
Tom,
guess
Dick,
you're
or
right.
Harry is in the show.
Oh, that's right.
Tom, Dick, or Harry?
Yeah.
Um,
It's a song.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was like, is that a
You're like,
different
do you know who's on the
conjunction?
Yeah, I know. So you see these people's on-stage performances as well as their off-stage lives. And their off-stage lives end up interfering with the on-stage performances, and you know,
Oh.
chaos ensues. It's so brilliant.
What's the one where they like go backstage at one point?
Oh, that's Noises Off.
His noise is off. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, this is, I mean, I guess you are backstage at one point, but it's not like Noises Off. In Noises Off, they actually turn the stage around, or they turn the set around, and then they do Act 2 from the backstage view,
Okay.
which is pretty cool. Kiss Me, Kate is maybe the best comedy ever written. What do you think?
It's really good. Cole Porter is one of the best writers of all time. I don't know that I would say it's the best comedy ever written.
Yeah, shouldn't you say then that the taming of the shoe?
Taming of the Shoe.
My shoe has been tamed. The taming of the shoe is the best comedy then, because
No, because the way that the two intertwine. Because it's
Oh,
more than just the Taming of the Shrew.
okay. Why?
And it's also the best adaptation of Shakespeare ever, besides debatably West Side Story.
Do you mean the best musical
Musical,
adaptation?
yeah.
Oh, I was like, 'cause 10 Things I Hate About You is really good.
That's true. It is.
What is
really
that
good.
based off of?
Kiss Me, Kate.
Taming of the Shrew.
I mean, Taming of the Shrew. My bad. LOL.
So, Elle, I just thought of this line that we often get mixed up. I'm going to sing it correctly, but it's also funny if you sing it incorrectly.
I'm here for it.
It's, the trees are barren everywhere, the streets are full of strangers. But it's fun if you mix it and you say, the streets are bare and everywhere the trees are full of strangers.
Oh, no.
What are all these strangers doing in these trees?
Oh, no.
I don't know. Furthermore, would you be more comfortable if you knew the people who were hanging out in the trees? Anyway, that's literally just like a random line that I pulled, but it's the one that's like always in my head. You know that line where like you're just driving along, nothing's in your head, then all of a sudden the streets are bare and everywhere the trees. Oh, it's there again. You know,
It's
Jefferson's going.
Oh.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So,
Les Miserables.
yes, it's Les Mis. So, Les Mis is based on Victor Hugo's novel of the same name, and, classic. Again, Les Mis was one of the good things to come out of the 80s and Broadway, and I dare say London, and, it's one of those that's sung all the way through, which is can be a little overwhelming. It can be a lot.
This was one of the first shows I actually saw all the way through.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Did you see it on stage?
Yes, I saw it on stage. It was a college performance, so it still wasn't
Who cares? Sounds good.
a professional. But
Yeah.
College is
I
pretty
would be
good,
really
though.
interested because I've never seen an amateur production of Les Mis, I don't think.
so I've heard the swiveling stage.
Oh, yeah.
The turntable?
Yeah, is that's an exclusive Broadway thing? Or-
No, I mean, you can do it if you want to.
Okay.
The bummer is it was done in the original Broadway version, but then they didn't, when I saw it on tour in 2008, they didn't do it that way. So it didn't end up being one of those things that stuck, that was the Les Mis thing.
Okay.
Les Mis is a little bit weird because it ran for a while, and then there was a revival in 2006, and then there was another revival in 2012.
Just to put it in perspective, it ran till 2003, right?
Yeah.
And then it was revived in 2006.
And then it was revived. So it was just that was a little bit weird. I don't know exactly what the deal was there or why they did that. But anyway, so it premiered on the West End in 1985 and, came to Broadway 1986, I believe. That year it's one of the classic, if we're thinking about Tony Awards, it's one of the classic examples of two people being basically leads and being up against each other for a Tony. So it was, Jean Valjean, who's the good guy, and Javert, who's the bad guy.
Please tell me someone from a completely different show.
Someone from a completely different show. Yes. It
That's
was,
perfect.
what's his name, from Me and My Girl. And honestly, when you watch his performance on the Tonys, you're like, I see why he beat both of them.
Wow.
Have you watched it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I thought he was pretty good. But it's just cool talking about Hamilton. You've got Hamilton and Burr, who really are both the main characters, but only one of them can get the award for Best Actor. Yeah. Same with, in Wicked, you got Glinda and Elphaba. Really, both of them are the lead, but only one of them can get it. Same with the two guys and the producers. When Nathan Lane accepted his Tony Award, he grabbed Matthew Broderick's hand and dragged him to the microphone to stand with him as he accepted it. Because he was like, this wouldn't be mine if I didn't have you.
That's cool, but there's a part of me that's that it feels like a backhanded. like you
consolation prize.
Didn't win, but come up here and look at it.
I can see why that.
I don't know their relationship. If it was me and my best friend, who I've been working with for the last, few years and whatnot, I'd probably be comfortable being like, come on up with me, come on, let's do this. So
yeah, I don't know. Dina Menzel certainly did not do that in Wicked. Insert fan theories there about their relationship or lack thereof.
Was she wicked?
No.
So yeah. Les Mis, it's a jolly old time. Everyone's dead by the end, but then they come back and they sing about it. So then you kind of leave feeling good.
You get your warm fuzzies by the end.
But I will say, since the writers write this is Boublil and Schoenberg. They are French. They wrote the musical Les Mis. They always write in French first and then translate it for themselves into English. So some of the lyrics are kind of like,
oh, nice, huh?
So bless their hearts.
Take shelter from that storm, man.
Yeah, hashtag take shelter from the storm. weird lyrics.
Doesn't quite make sense. What are we on? We're on M now.
Yes.
To dream the impossible dream.
Well, I can't because it's impossible.
You're so inspiring, Anderson.
Yeah, I know. No idea. What?
Sally?
It's the Man of La Mancha.
Oh, I should have known that.
It's the best ever. This show single-handedly got me through 8th grade. That's why I will love it forever. I owe so much to this show. You guys, 8th grade was a dark time. I loved it because there's no, like, romantic love in it, which is rare. So, I mean, Don Quixote certainly is in love with Aldonza, but it's more like he worships her, like an angel or something like that. He's not trying to marry her. He doesn't think he's on par with her. He's not like, come be my woman. He's like, I just want to serve you, which, like, to some extent is, you know, what marriage is, but it's not romantic.
It's like this weird distant chivalry.
Yeah,
that he's
that's
got
exactly
going
what
on.
it is. Yeah. Yeah, I love Man of La Mancha. It's just, it's one of the few shows, similar to Guys and Dolls, I guess, that actually has a really good script as well. Because it's based on, you know, a book, so they had a lot of good subject matter to pull from.
Have you ever read Don Quixote?
No.
That thing is a bear.
Yeah, it's really
And-
You
good.
haven't read it?
No, I started it one time.
yeah,
Well,
Didn't do it.
I've
Read
started
it.
it twice, and the windmill portion happens, like, right at the beginning, and after that you're like, well, I don't know what else is gonna happen. Like, I don't...
This is literally the entire story.
Like,
Yeah.
after that, it just keeps going, and I'm sure, like, what I'm imagining it is it's just another gazillion pages of him trying to be a knight and being sad about it, and Sancho Panza what?
Sancho Panza?
Sancho Panza being like, is he real? Like, I don't, like, Sancho Panza, I feel
that's all
like
it
is the
is.
real, like, sad character, though, because he's like, oh, yeah, I'll help you be a knight, because you're going to give me an island. Like,
That's what it is in the book?
in the book, yeah, he's
Oh.
like, I will give you an island if you become my squire.
Oh my gosh, that makes this an entirely different story.
And he
It
doesn't
is.
even, I mean, obviously, he has no control of any islands. Like,
Yeah.
but, like, he's like, oh, yeah, like, I'm going to get all this wealth and stuff, and you'll get an island.
So in the book, he doesn't realize that he's not a real knight?
I don't think so. I don't know if that's
Oh.
something that happens later on, but as far as I got, which wasn't very far. Yeah.
The blind leading the blind right now, you guys.
So
So great.
that's a good time. Superboy and the Invisible Girl.
Yeah.
Classic. Nice
I
to
really like that
normal.
song.
I
That is
know,
a
it's
really
great
good song.
good.
Oh, yeah.
This was kind of the first, like, non-mainstream musical I, like, found out about, and just really liked it. Also one that I haven't ever seen, so it took me, like, 50 listen-throughs before I was like, oh,
I love
that's
that
what
that's
happens.
a legitimate number that you can give. Like, I've listened to this show 50 times.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, how many times do you think we've listened to, like, I don't know, Hamilton, or, like, for me, Man of La Mancha, or, like, any of these shows, you know?
I mean, that would take a lot of math. Let's see, probably 14 times a week for Hamilton when it first came out for
a few
3
weeks.
months.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we've listened, yeah. It's just
Whatever 12
interesting.
times 14 is, right?
Sure. We'll go with it.
Whatever that number is.
What-
Over
what-
100.
Big one.
Well, a
big one.
Yeah. Anyways, it's very angsty, which was right up my alley, especially
Classic.
at the time, and I'm still a little angsty. So,
Yes.
but like it was like if I needed a good cry or a good
Yes.
emotional thing, I would just listen to it because and this was the thing is I got to the end. Spoiler alert! Doesn't really end well.
Yeah.
And I was so sad because I was like, no. Work together, like
Yeah.
they kind of just give up at the end, and the message is kind of like, life sucks, and you're like, what?
No!
What? Like, stay together.
Well,
Like,
Anderson, you can't hate
That's
Yeah.
one that every time I listen to it, I am kind of like, wait, but maybe this time she's gonna stay.
the kid watching the movie, and like, John Wayne's gonna survive this time. It's
You're
like,
like, no, it's the cowboy.
Spoiler alert, he gets shot in the back by Bruce Dern
every single time.
So bad.
every time.
Yeah.
I was just listening to Next to Normal today. I was like, I need to start my day with a like really exciting, fun show. I know, Next to Normal.
Our alarm clock is on shuffle, and surprise, surprise, 90% of Laura's
It's only like
iPod
75.
is musicals. So we've woken up to
A blood-curdling scream. Thank you,
that
Into
would
the
be
Woods.
children, yeah. Or what's
probably.
Lament.
Lament, yeah.
There's been some yummy Sweeney Todd ones about eating people.
Oh,
my
that's
God.
true. That's a great way to start out your
Woke up
breakfast.
meat
That's why you
pies.
don't marry a Broadway fan. That's the lesson here.
Sorry about it.
Speaking of lessons, this next one that I'm about to talk about has a lesson in and of itself as well that I will say in a moment. This one also has a lesson, much like many other shows. The line from this one is, if you've been lonely, then you will know when someone needs you, you love them so. The moral of this story, it's not really a moral, but it's why being an orphan is the worst. And this
Following
show,
up Annie.
Also,
this one also follows the same trajectory as Annie. Being
That's
an orphan
true.
is the worst until you're not an
it's
orphan.
not.
Until you get adopted by a millionaire.
Until you're not an orphan.
I think I know.
What is it?
Yes.
Is it Oliver?
Yes.
Well done.
Oliver!
Hey!
Exclamation point!
Oh, is it an exclamation point?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not honestly sure why people chose to put exclamation points at the end of their show titles. When did that start? Why did it, and it wasn't even like it was a trend. People would just, it was like a secret society where they were like, oh, it's your time now. You're the exclamation point musical of the decade. So Oliver is based on Charles Dickens' novel Oliver Twist, which we know Charles Dickens and his cheery story. But this musical to me is really interesting because it was by Lionel Bart, and he didn't do any other musicals. In fact, this one took him a long time to write. But it's a really good adaptation of the story of the book, in the sense that it gives, as Laura has said, it gives Nancy a reason for staying with Bill, because she's got this, abusive boyfriend who's the worst. He's a thief. He's horrible. And in the book, you're kind of like, but Nancy, you're so awesome. But in the show, she sings this really heartbreaking song called "As Long as He Needs Me," and she's like, look, he needs me, so I'm staying with him, even though he's hitting me.
No,
which is
still
really
not a good reason.
Still not a good reason. But then it's a reason. So Nancy has been my spirit animal / dream role ever since I was a kid, because in the movie she's a redhead, and of course she is. I've been in love with her because she's ginger, and I'm like, oh, that's a really pretty song, and she's got really pretty hair, and she's just like me. Except that if I were in her position, I would make better choices. That's fine.
Don't date abusive people.
One other thing I love about the music from Oliver is it's so, especially Fagin's songs, are so delightfully Jewish sounding, and they are, oh my goodness, it's so good. Just listen to, just the strong lilt in everything Fagin sings. You've got to pick a pocket or two, reviewing the situation. It's just amazing. And, that's a really classic show, but to me, the backdoor best song in the whole thing is Be Back Soon.
Wait,
that's
why?
one that I will listen to on repeat.
What? No.
Because I just love it. I don't know. You could go, but be back soon. Ba, 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 ba. I don't know what it is about it. There's no... Honestly, it's probably the fluffiest song. It doesn't really advance anything of the plot. It's literally just...
Let's see. Wait, let's cover our bases. They're here right now, but they're leaving, and... They'll be back soon.
So literally, what could really just be Fagin saying, "Goodbye, boys, I will be waiting for you when you get back," ends up being an entire song. He says that line, and then the music goes, doop, 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 doop. And it's just so great.
That's so weird.
Yeah, so listen to Oliver, super Jewish, and Be Back Soon is the best.
It is. Which came out the same year as...
Ugh, Music Man. No. I panicked.
What about Music Man?
What was it?
As Camelot.
Stop it.
I know, right? Ah, what a tragedy.
Okay, no, wait. Here's my favorite new trivia about Oliver.
Oh, good.
Okay, so y'all remember a little band called... Wait. Yeah, okay. Y'all remember a little band called The Beatles?
Yeah?
Remember a little thing called Beatlemania?
Obvi.
Remember a little thing called The Ed Sullivan Show?
Obvi.
So, the Beatles, if you've taken a media class, / if you were alive back then, you will remember that the Beatles famously performed on The Ed Sullivan Show and everyone went crazy. It's a super, super famous moment in history because it was their first time performing in America, and it was when everyone was like, oh shoot, like, these American girls, like, love them some Beatles. And, but that same night, the Broadway cast of Oliver was on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Oh, stop it.
And furthermore, the Artful Dodger was played by somebody who ended up being part of the singing group The Monkees.
What?
I know.
It all comes full
Circle.
Wow.
That is amazing.
Everything's connected.
So he was there that night.
So he was there that night.
As a child.
As a child, performing, I'd Do Anything.
I imagine
tattered
him. I
umbrellas.
imagine him stewing, being like, "They're taking the spotlight.
Oh, I know.
I'll become just like them."
Yeah, for real. Though.
Yes.
For real. All right, I've got P.
Peter Pan!
Oh, Peter Pan! Sorry, Pete suggested
Why are we
that
not on the
one.
same wavelength at all? Speaking of orphans.
Oh, for real,
Although
though.
he left his parents. Never mind.
what were you
What's your actual
No,
P?
he was actually left by his parents in a tram.
In a what?
He falls out of his crib.
Yeah.
In a tram.
In a tram.
Tram, in a trolley. No, I was thinking of the Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, I thought that was F.
Making fun of me.
They both just looked at me like I'm stupid.
So Phantom of the Opera is the longest running musical on Broadway, and it's still running, and Andrew Lloyd Webber personally makes like over $1,000 for every performance of that show.
Oh,
Yo.
Because it's just a cash cow.
wow.
Isn't that amazing? Which is why he's freed up to do things like School of Rock.
He's
Freed up to go back to his real life.
money coming in the next hour. What mindless thing can I write next?
He's like, remember that musical that I wrote that was really good? Let me go back to my roots and like imitate Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh.
Terrible show. Just not a great show. But Phantom of the Opera. Phantom of the Opera is not a great show, but it is fun to watch, and I do love it, even though it doesn't make any sense.
And there's that bit where he falls through the floor.
Well, but not in the last production. The last time it came to town, he just grabbed
that
her
was
hand and they ran off
and they
stage.
just ran away. That
I was like,
so
how'd you
weird.
get away from the guards that we just talked about that were backstage? Like, there's a reason you have to fall through the floor, and it's because nobody sees it coming. If you grab her hand and run off stage, they will arrest you. It didn't make any sense in a storytelling perspective. But in that show in general, the plot doesn't really make sense. None of the character changes stick or make sense. You just have to take it scene by scene and treat each scene like its own little novella, like it's not connected to the rest of it, and then you can really enjoy it.
I'm assuming this is a spoiler, but how does he get his injury on his face?
He's just like born with
born
it.
with it. Question
Some
mark.
type of deformity.
Oh.
The book probably will tell you, but
Is he unattractive with it?
I mean, he's deformed on that side of his face.
Okay. I didn't know if it was just like a birthmark that he's...
No, it's like it's an
Embarrassed
entire
about.
half side of his face that looks like the Two-Face. I was about to say the Joker. It's that dude who has like two sides to his face.
When Two-Face.
When Michael Crawford originally did it, it's one of those things where like sometimes you put together a show and you go, this is such a great idea. And then once you're on the set, or once you put on that costume piece, you go, oh crap, the one thing I didn't think about at all. It's like when we did Triangle Factory Fire Project, and the set was metal, and the first time we used the set, we were so excited, but they stepped onto the set, and it creaked.
It went,
So much. And they kept welding and welding and welding and welding to make this thing quieter, and it never got quieter. And it was one of those things where it's like, we're already too far along. So when Michael Crawford first put on like the makeup and the mask and all that to do the Phantom, he was like, I can't say the letter P. I can't do it because that side of his mouth couldn't move. And he was like, well, so the line prying Pandora was really interesting. You little prying Pandora. Like out of one side of his mouth.
It's fine. He was singing anyway. Hardly anyone could understand most of the lines
And
he
he's
said.
supposed to be angry, so whatever. So, that's a fun fact. He's also mentioned in High School Musical when what's-his-name is talking about why Troy can't be an actor. Because he's like, my mom has a picture of Michael Crawford in our fridge. And Sally and I were like the only ones who knew who Michael Crawford was.
The coolest ones at that 12-year-old birthday party.
We were so cool.
In the fridge or on the fridge?
In the fridge!
That's part of the line.
That's literally part of the line. That's literally what he said. He's like, in the fridge.
Well, is that so that when you open it, you get, like, the billowing
It's
fumes,
never
like the
explained.
fog?
That's a great idea.
It doesn't honestly make any sense.
It's never explained. It's just humorous.
I like that I played
Like,
the second half of that.
is it like the new, like, face on a milk bottle kind of thing? Or no?
Or on a
Zeke's
Wheaties
mom is
box.
just crazy.
So Q is for a show that I do not know.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Quilters?
Haven't heard of it.
Guess what it's about.
Quilters!
I
People
feel
who
like
make
we end up-
quilts!
I feel like we end up talking about quilts on the show a whole lot.
We actually, well, there's only so many things that start with Q.
Oh, that's fair. I was about to be shocked.
Yeah, Q, X, and Z just kind of lean towards certain things.
They kind of do.
It's about quilters. Sally?
Okay.
Is it a musical?
I don't know.
What year did it come
The
out?
weird thing is,
It's definitely a musical.
the weird thing
It's
is I
definitely a
think I've
musical.
heard of it.
Yeah, it's like based off of, it's like I was about to say South American, but I meant like deep South America.
Oh. Like Bible
Southern.
Belt.
Yeah. And I think it's like gospel music and stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Sounds like fun.
I've definitely heard of it, but
I
don't know
decided to
why.
wing it with my research, and
Well done.
so that's
Whatever.
that's how I got here.
Okay, so R is for something in which there is a line. That's it. The stars are silver notes across that sky now. The stars are silver notes across that sky now. Sarah brown eyes.
Ragtime.
Ragtime.
Ragtime!
AKA, you might be wondering, how does one use the first 20 minutes of a musical to do the opening number, which only introduces the characters?
How does one?
Ragtime does it.
20 minutes for one song?
It is incredibly long. It's not necessarily one song, it's like one thought. It's one opening. It is pretty cray. I've gotta say. But it is by, and I'm gonna butcher their names. I'm so sorry. Ahrens and Flaherty, maybe? They also wrote Once on This Island and Anastasia. But Ragtime is like a jolly old like walk through turn of the century history. So it's like you're walking down the street and you're like, oh, it's Harry Houdini. Oh look, it's Booker T. Washington. Oh look, it's Evelyn Nesbit. It's just like to your left is one, and to your right is another one, and you just like keep going through history. So they all kind of intertwine. It's like Into the Woods for turn of the century American history.
I'm here for it.
That's what we're saying here. But it's fun. It's got the original Broadway cast had Brian Stokes Mitchell, who has the voice of a god, and Audra McDonald, who has the voice of a goddess. So it worked out real well for everybody involved.
Deities performing on stage.
Deity is performing. My quirk with this one is that when I first listened to it, for some reason, when I searched Ragtime musical on YouTube, the only version I found was the original concept recording, which was done before it was on Broadway. And so now that's the version that I listen to. I don't usually listen to the Broadway version, but it has most of the same people, except for the Broadway version not starred, but it has, yes.
Baby Leah Michelle.
Yes, baby Leah Michelle plays a child in this show.
Father
a
built
baby?
a house.
No.
No, she's like
She's
12.
not actually a baby. She's like 12.
But her name is Baby.
Yeah, so somewhere between playing, baby Cosette and baby Eponine, she played baby child in Ragtime. But it is so much fun. Ragtime is so epic, and it's a lot like, it's very much along the lines of Les Mis. Like, if you want to watch it, if you want to cry, you're going to listen to Ragtime.
Awesome.
Audra McDonald obviously won the Tony for Best Featured Actress, one of her billion Tonys. And it was the same, I want to say it was the same year as Lion King. I think it was 1998. So it was also the same year as Scarlet Pimpernel. I'm trying to think of like the Tony Awards telecasts that I've watched, and I have watched 98. So I don't remember what else Ragtime won besides Best Featured Actress, but very well deserved. Pretty much, y'all, if you want to win a Tony, here's how you do it.
Oh,
You're
okay.
a big role. Be a big role that dies at the end of Act 1. Because then you're going to be in their head as if you're a main character, but you're not on stage enough to be nominated for Best Actor or Best Actress. So you're just a shoo-in. Like everybody
So
else
you're not
is
up against the hard hitters.
Yeah, you're not up against the harder hitters. Yeah, the harder hitters. You're up against the comic relief. You're up against lesser characters. It's a steal.
Did Fontaine win? Who played Fontaine in?
You know, actually, I think no, Eponine won.
Oh.
Well, and Les Mis is a tricky
She dies
one.
too, but she's only in Act 2. She's not in Act 1.
And Les Mis is somewhat tricky because it's so company-led. You know,
Yeah,
so there's going to be a lot of competition because you've got those two
they probably had some
giant characters, the two men, you know. So.
That was the first one I thought of when you said die at the end of Act 1. Like,
Oh yes. Yeah.
So-
Yeah, Fontaine was definitely nominated, but no.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You guys, S was really, really tough because there's so many shows that are so near and dear to my heart that start with S. I mean, there are shows that changed the history of Broadway musicals. There, Showboat, which is considered to be the first Broadway musical ever in 1927, but considered by most people, I should say.
Yeah.
Then you've got Oscar Hammerstein's last show, The Sound of Music, which is considered to be one of the best shows, although that was kind of a throwaway for them. You've got South Pacific, another amazing
R&H.
show, another R&H, and then you've got my personal favorite show, which is The Scarlet Pimpernel.
of course.
It really doesn't deserve to be in the same category. Sorry, Ben Shapiro, I know you despise this show. However, it's my favorite show ever because we used to listen to it and dance around the living room all day listening to this show. Literally all day. We learned all the lyrics. Literally, I learned how to read by reading the book of lyrics to The Scarlet Pimpernel.
Wow.
Literally.
Homeschooling at its
You
finest.
guys, this is how you learn at home. Yes. So this show, like, I do not remember a time that I didn't know all the words to all the songs. Literally. I remember the first time I heard Les Mis. I remember not knowing what the Phantom of the Opera was. But this show came out 3 years after I was born, so... Anyways. So great.
Well, like a falcon in the dive.
It is...
So
let me
good.
also say, it is not a good show. Like, technically, like, critically
Literally,
acclaimed.
we're going to be hearing
like,
from all of our family members about this. Keep going.
but it's my favorite, and that's okay.
Okay. That's good. Okay. Another one I'm going to defer, but I'm going to bring it up. T is for Tuck Everlasting.
Love that show. Love it. Saw that when it premiered in Atlanta. It's a fairly okay show. The ballet at the end makes literally the entire thing beautiful.
We just cried and cried and cried. It was so great.
Remember, isn't it? Okay, during that final ballet, Winnie is dancing through life, and she's experiencing all these things growing up, and then there are multiple people who die. And
Yeah.
the person, remember the adult in front of us?
I thought it was like a high schooler.
Maybe it was let's say it was an adult for the sake of the story.
Cool.
I'm pretty sure it was an adult. Literally, every time someone died, they were like, oh, he died. And literally, like, that loud. And you're just like, what?
He died.
And, like,
Yeah.
it's kind of a montage, like, ballet at the end. You know, so someone will come on stage and dance for 30 seconds and then leave, and that represents them dying. So, like, this happens a lot. He died.
Dad.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Again, hashtag shows that came out the same year that Hamilton did that didn't get a chance.
I saw that it was 2016.
So it was the same Tony Awards year.
Oh, okay.
Because the awards run on a June-to-June basis.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
like a school fiscal year end. Actually, I mean, that's the typical fiscal year end for theaters. But the reason that they do that is because back in the day when they didn't have air conditioning in the theaters, they couldn't do live theater during the summer because it just got too hot in New York. So they didn't want people to, like, forget that Broadway was there over the summer. So they started hosting the Tony Awards over the summer so that people could get together for one night to see some things and be reminded of what happened during the year in the shows.
Okay.
That's why it's in June.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, you. The two lines I'm going to say, y'all will probably guess them. One is, don't be the bunny.
Yes.
The second is, it's a privilege to pee.
So great.
So the show is Urine Town.
Ah.
Not you are in town, but Urine Town is in P Town.
I thought it was You're in Town for literally years.
For a long time. And then I saw the poster and I was a little confused and I was like, I'm probably misreading that.
Someone wrote a typo.
Yeah, no. Urine Town is like, it's like a parody of Les Mis, oddly enough, in certain ways. Except not at all. I guess it's a parody in general, and it has some Les Mis moments. But it's got, big bad businessman who's like, something about there's a water shortage in this town, and so they can't use the bathroom, and they can't go in the bushes either, and so it's just, it starts out, it's very, serious, but it's funny, too, because the first song, they're singing about Urine Town, and they're like, oh, we don't mean Urine Town the place, we mean Urine Town the musical. You're at the musical right now, y'all, is basically what they say. And it is so funny. There's a character named Sally in it, which is cool for me.
Just like Follies.
Just like Follies, yes. Yeah, you're right. We didn't mention that earlier. Y'all, Sallies are representing. There are two of them! Anyway, so Urine Town is really fun. We saw a really, really great production of that at Fabrifaction Theater, which no longer exists. It is
so
now...
sad.
It's now Out Front Theater, I believe. It's still there, but it's just, different title. But we saw, we saw a great production in Atlanta, and I just was dying laughing for every moment that my great now friend, Jeff McCurley, was on stage. He played the big bad businessman, and he was so funny. Oh my goodness, y'all. I can't describe what he did, but I'll just tell you that, he did the bunny song, and every moment, every movement he made was hilarious. And then there was tap dancing too, right?
That's what I was about to say.
And then
He
when
for
his
sure
foot
danced.
moved and we're like, oh, there's taps on those shoes. And then you thought it couldn't get better, and then it got better. Obviously he wasn't the one who chose to have tap shoes. That was the...
I'm always impressed when I'm surprised by tap shoes, because I'm like, how did they get to the middle of the stage without me hearing the clickety clackety clickety clackety?
That is one of the best reveals. When people are hanging out on stage, and then in the middle of the scene they start tap dancing, and you go, what?
Or the other best is when you see regular characters that you wouldn't think are going to tap, and then you hear a clickety clackety as they're walking, and you're like, they're about to tap. I don't know why. That happened in 42nd Street. You got these policemen, and I'm like, why do you have tap shoes on? Doesn't matter.
just nothing to see here.
Tapping along.
It's like in a Harry Potter
Carry
musical.
on.
Clickety clackety
Yes,
clickety
yeah. In a Harry Potter musical, that moment of you hear the tap, and you're like,
You're like,
oh, Voldemort's about to tap.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
It's pretty great.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so,
That's good.
You guys, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of struggled with V a little bit. Did I do any research? Still didn't make me do any research. But I did think, okay. Okay. So we've got Victor Victoria.
Oh, yeah.
Was that on stage first, and then a movie?
I think it was a movie first, but don't quote me on that.
Okay, so...
Quoted. Sally.
So,
Sally says...
This was one of, or maybe the last show, musical Julie Andrews did.
Yeah.
Because Julie Andrews was in this show, and she was the only one nominated for anything. She was nominated for Best Actress, and she got mad about it because she said that the rest of the show was too good not to get nominated, so she declined her nomination. But then, after this show, she needed surgery, somewhat more or less routine surgery on throats that, singers have to get.
Yeah, it was for nodes.
Ugh.
For nodes in her throat, and the person
just-
messed up. And destroyed Julie Andrews' voice.
No.
This is real life.
No.
Think about it. You
This
don't
is why she doesn't sing
You
anymore.
don't hear her sing. She doesn't perform things. Think about Dick Van Dyke. Think about
Here's the thing. This is so sad.
The new-
That's
not
why
gonna
she's not...
Not
Mary
gonna lie, I
Poppins.
legitimately thought that she had passed away.
she hasn't. No,
But
she's not that old.
you know what is she's alive and she can't sing.
She's a voiceover in Enchanted.
Yeah.
She's obviously in Princess Diaries, which we love, but she can't sing anymore. Not like she did. I'm sure that she can sing, but
yeah.
not like she
Oh
could.
my god.
She tried to in her Netflix show, and it's pretty speak singy.
She had a Netflix show?
Yeah, for kids. It was like a Sesame Street.
So did she? What was like the end result of that? Did she like sue for malpractice and all that?
Yeah,
like,
so that's why we don't really know the whole story, because part of the lawsuit was that she wasn't gonna tell details about like what exactly happened and all that kind of stuff.
I assume like they probably settled.
Yeah. And the only reason I know that is because I saw a Barbara Walters interview with Julie Andrews one time, where she was asking her about it, and Julie Andrews was like, well, I really can't talk about it, because like they already paid me, and part of the agreement is I'm not going to go talking about this and tell all that what happened.
Dang.
I know.
Yeah.
That is so sad.
It is a tragedy.
That is
so
sad.
I mean, we've got like Mary Martin got to be on stage at age something incredibly old, like 70s. I mean, 70 isn't incredibly old, but you know, she was like in her 70s singing Neverland on the stage at the Tony Awards. And she wasn't the best, but she was still very much doing it. It's just sad that we aren't going to have Julie Andrews singing, you know, A Spoonful of Sugar, or Climb Every, not Climb Every Mountain, but something from that music.
Yeah,
You guys, what if in the new in the new Mary Poppins movie, she came back? I'm like starting to tear up. Oh my god.
You are.
She came back. Oh my gosh. And they just dubbed in her voice from the first one, and she just lip synced to something that she had done already.
That would be so sad, though.
That would be amazing.
It would be pretty sad, but then she's there.
But it'd be sad in a really bittersweet way.
It would be.
It'd be like, oh, so many feelings.
Yeah, it'd be like a sweet homage, but it'd be sad.
Yeah.
So that's Victoria, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thanks for that. On that wicked note... W's for West Side Story. No,
I know you were
Wicked.
gonna pull that.
Wicked.
I mean, Wicked.
Yeah, Wicked.
What do you want to say about it?
So what I want to say about it is the incredible Adele Dazeem.
Oh my gosh.
Shout out John Travolta.
Next joke.
Was it based off of a book?
Yes.
Okay.
But
wait. But was it based off of a book called Wicked, or was it based off of The Wizard of Oz?
It's called Wicked.
Okay. So it's based off of a fan theory. Or not fanfic, essentially.
Yeah, sure.
That's interesting. That's
By Gregory Maguire.
I read one of his books, by the way. Kind of by accident. But also, everybody's told me that Wicked was terrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I'm not interested in that. But there was one that he did that was kind of a Alice in Wonderland thing. You know how I love Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get it. It was weird.
What was it called?
Finding Alice or Looking Glass Alice or something. I think Alice was in the title. I listened to it on tape.
This is another one of those where listening to it, it's a little fuzzy who's who, especially like all the boyfriends. Like all of them overlap vocally.
All the boyfriends.
Well, and then Madame Morabelle tells a lie in the second act. So you're like, is that really what happened? Because you didn't see what happened. You don't know why they're in the Emerald City.
I guess I never even noticed that because I
to know that.
have nothing to connect it to. But
yeah,
I do love the song just because of how secretly dark and demented it is that the wizard sings about.
Wonderful.
Is that the title?
Which one are you talking?
It's the one where he's talking about history.
Yeah,
and
it's wonderful.
Is one a crusader or ruthless invader? It's all in which label is able to persist.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, it makes me question everything.
Well, I mean, the victors write history. That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times there are moments in every musical where the lyricist is like, okay, here's my soapbox, I'm standing on it, we're going now.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what Wonderful was.
That's so true.
For Schwartz.
It's good.
Foshizi.
Steve Schwartz was like, here we go.
Steve.
Now here's the thing about X. I would have sworn that this would have been the most impossible. And
literally, he said it like a threat. It was like, you're going to have X. And literally Laura just goes, so, Xanadu? So, all I know about Xanadu is Xanadu.
Oh, I didn't even know
That's
that.
it.
Wow.
That's it. That's the entire
it, guys.
show.
That's it. We're done. We're going home.
We've got Carrie Butler, and she's on rollerblades. And it's based on an 80s film of the same name. And I'm so sorry that I don't know anything. And I didn't research this because I just forgot about it. Because I was like, yeah, whatever. Got to the end of the page. There was no more room on the page. And so in my mind, I had no more letters left. Anyway, so Xanadu, it's one of those that people like to jab, make fun of. It's definitely one of those, like, if you're going to talk about over-the-top ridiculous Broadway shows or a dark time in Broadway history, you're going to, like, Xanadu, So who knows what it's about, but it's one of the rollerblading skits. And,
classic Starlight Express forever.
oh my gosh. Unfortunately, Carrie Butler, has done some other good things, like Hairspray and, Catch Me If You Can. And most recently, she played the adult women in Mean Girls. So she's doing just fine. She's recovering from Xanadu, probably for the rest of her career.
I have another show. It is our third Kristen Chenoweth show.
Hey.
It is also our third show with a character named Sally.
Yes!
I knew it would come back. You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown.
What? Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize this.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. This is also the second one based off of a comic strip.
That's true.
So far, at least.
Oh, we're doing all the numbers right now, you guys. Yeah, so, it's about Charlie Brown, the comic people, and it's cute.
What's it called again?
You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. See, it has to start with a Y.
Yeah. That's why I was confused. I was like, Charlie Brown's all I heard.
Starts with a C.
It wasn't Kristen Chenoweth's first Tony?
Yes.
So it won Kristen Chenoweth her first Tony in 1999 for Best Featured Actress, portraying the role of Sally.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
So great. Which is so perfect for her, too, because she's so itty-bitty.
Yeah.
She's perfect for the little sister,
And sassy.
I love that in Charlie Brown they're all the same height, because, like, little kids are all the same height, except Sally's a little bit shorter.
There's always that one sibling, or that friend's sibling who's just a little bit shorter.
Yes, just so annoying, or whatever.
Wait, who's the one that pulls the football out from under? That's Lucy. Okay.
Lucy,
I was
yeah.
mixing them in my brain for a second. I was like, wait, Lucy, but okay.
Yeah,
no,
no,
I'm back.
so-
I'm back.
So yeah, it's a cast of 6, I believe.
Sure.
It's got Sally and Schroeder and Charlie Brown and Lucy and Snoopy and
Woodstock?
Linus, yeah.
Is Woodstock?
No, Woodstock's not in it.
No.
Oh.
No. But Snoopy has, like, a whole song and all this stuff. I haven't actually
Snoopy
seen
sings?
it. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Totally.
He doesn't
It's
just go,
Nope.
No, not so much. No.
I almost had a conniption in my throat there.
You got it?
Cool. And Z, to close us out, is kind of a cop-out, because we already talked about it a little bit, but it's on my list. Z is for the Ziegfeld Follies.
Okay.
Ziegfeld Follies. And they ran from 1907 to 1931. By Florence Ziegfeld. So,
Classic Broadway history.
I guess it's just sort of like the run-up to, like, traditional Broadway.
Yeah,
Quotation marks.
early 1900s Broadway is just really, really iffy, and it's hard to see where it transitions into, like, what we consider to be regular
it is gradual.
musicals. Yeah, it's a really, really gradual change. But basically the difference is that's, the Ziegfeld Follies are going to be just song and dance, just for fun, not for plot. There were usually loose plots around everything, and they often wrote them around a comedian. So it'd be like, okay, guys, we have a comedian who can play the violin, so let's put in a part where he does something funny and plays the violin. And everyone else has to deal with it. I literally read something about that. I don't remember who it was. But yeah, the main contribution that gave us was just like, that's where a lot of our old Broadway composers got their start. In things like Ziegfeld Follies. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to say something that's entirely wrong.
100% accurate. That's us.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, so you had, Showboat during that time, and Showboat's about racism, and you had shortly thereafter in the 40s, you had Kiss Me Kate, and you had South Pacific, and you had these very tight shows, but we didn't transition completely. There wasn't a marked difference really until Oklahoma opened with a woman churning butter on stage. That's a very, very famous opening.
Yeah.
Because it signified the end of the Depression, when people were ready to cope with real life again.
Mm-hmm.
Basically. So that really marks the first of Broadway's significant change to depict real life, rather than be a puff piece with no plot or little plot or whatever. But it's interesting that these shows that survive and are amazing, like South Pacific and Kiss Me Kate, like I don't think of those in the same category as like the Follies, but they were in the 40s. Well, I guess Oklahoma was 47?
Oklahoma was before South
49?
Pacific.
Okay.
So
Oklahoma was 47, South Pacific was 49.
Yeah.
Read that.
Do we have to sing it or just read it?
No, you just read it.
Okay. Now we know our Broadway ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me?
Hey!
Hey, that's how I did it.
You did it. Jazz hands. Woo!
Hi.
Good job, guys. That was fun.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for that.
If you like what you heard tonight and would like to hear some more, or even if you didn't like it and would like to tell your friends that they should listen to it, because you know that you know somebody who would like to hear it.
Because you don't like it, but surely one of your friends will.
Please write us a review on iTunes, and please feel free to find us on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you find your podcasts at the ABC Pod, all one word. Tonight we actually had the special privilege of being joined by the B-Way Ginger. You can find her on Twitter, and you can find me nowhere. You can find me in my house.
No!
Please don't. That would be creepy.
You don't know where I live.
If you're interested in more episodes, show notes, and other oddities, visit our website, theabcpod.blogspot.com, and follow us on social media at theabcpod. Theme song by Mr. Putney and Seamus the Sheep. If you'd like to send us a complaint, topic idea, or just anything else, shoot us an email, theabcpod@gmail.com.